Okay, she gave your client an opportunity to address the court again. He didn't have anything to say.
There was nothing more that needed to be said, really. He expressed his remorse and his guilt and everything he was feeling last time, and I think the sooner the better. So it needed to be said last time instead of waiting just to the day of sentencing. So it would have just been redundant to say anything further today.
Jim, your reaction to the sentence?
Yeah, 5 years. What do you think?
5 years, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't please me. I don't think there's any sentence that would please anybody. It's it's just horrible all the way around. There's no winners.
Does this send a message? Is there a message sent with a 5-year sentence? I mean, you were pitching for something for 2 years and some probation and no more than 3. Is there a message that's sent when there is a sentence as lengthy as this?
The courts say, the principles of sentencing say general deterrence is a factor. You have to look at sending a message through the sentences. I don't know if that's getting across, and I don't know if it would ever get across. If you start giving life, people still commit murder, and there's life sentences. Will there still, regardless of the sentences that are given, if it was 10 years today, would somebody still go out tonight and drink and drive? There's going to be those people. I don't know the answer, and I don't know if the message is ever really gonna, if we'll ever stop it.
What the judge really said, it's not working to not have stronger sentences like general deterrence. It's just.
Well, that's simply the trend. The trend is for increasing sentences. They're trying to find something to have an effect. And you try whatever you can until you find something that works, I guess. And if increased sentences ultimately don't show that they're having an effect, maybe they'll back off of them and work on some other programs. I don't know.
How do you think Jared will do in jail?
He'll do just fine. He's mentally prepared for it. He's been prepared for it since the day he walked into my office, knowing that's the direction it was going. So it's no surprise to him. It'll be tough, as it would on any of us going into jail for 5 years, but he'll do it and he'll come out of it. I have no doubt. The type of person and family he comes from, he'll come out on top.
No, the family didn't want to talk today. Jim,
no,
you spoke with them. What's going through them?
A lot of them. They're glad it's over. Jared is glad it's over. They can now start moving forward. He's very remorseful. The family is very sorry for what the Christidis family has gone through. They're now going to have to struggle with the loss of Jared for 5 years. So it's a lot of emotion involved. And really, I don't think they could find the words to even speak to you right now.
Hello, my name is Sula Kutlamanis. I'm here to speak on behalf of Andrea's family. Firstly, we wanted to thank everyone, family, friends, and total strangers, for their outpouring of love and ongoing support through this tragic time in our lives. Andrea's mother, Georgia, and her sister, Alexia, were unable to attend today due to the sudden death of Andrea's father, Chris. Chris died 2 weeks ago, on May 31st. Until Andrea's tragic and senseless death, Chris was in good health. He died of a broken heart. Chris was crushed by Andrea's death. Last month, in his victim impact statement, Chris told us that he felt his job was to keep his family safe and that he could not forgive himself for failing to do that. Chris said that he would never be able to come to terms with Andrea's death and that he would forever wonder how life would have otherwise been. For Chris, every day was a struggle, both physically and emotionally. All of us who were in the courtroom that day and heard Chris's heartbreaking words are now haunted by them even more. We realized that Chris, despite his valiant efforts to carry on, remained overwhelmed, and he too fell victim to the tragic events of last October, when Andrea was killed by a drunk driver. Today's sentencing does not make things any easier for our family. It does not bring any sense of closure for my sister, for my niece, or any of us. The horror does not end. My sister Georgia has always believed that a drunk driver turns his vehicle into a deadly weapon. Sentencing should reflect that. However, drunk driving is treated by our laws and courts far too leniently. In our opinion, and with greatest respect to her honor, no sentence handed down today could be fair or just, so long as the penalty does not match the crime. Jared Dejong will be back out on the streets at a relatively young age. He will return to his family and continue his life. We, on the other hand, have been sentenced to a life sentence of pain and suffering. He robbed Andrea of her full life, but he also robbed our whole family of our happiness and what was once a beautiful and loving life together. We will never be able to return to any sense of normalcy because of his reckless, senseless, and selfish actions and decisions that he made on that fateful day. It has been our belief that our lenient impaired driving laws are insufficient and fail to act as deterrent to stop drinking and driving. Unfortunately, our family has now experienced this firsthand, and we are living with the consequences. People like Jared Dejong, despite being told and preached to for his entire life about the deadly consequences of drinking and driving, are still not getting the message. He still chose to drink and drive that night without any consideration for the consequences. We now find ourselves asking over and over again, what if harsher penalties were already in place for drinking and driving related offenses? Would Jared Dejong have made a different decision that night? Would Andrea still be alive today? Would Chris? These are the questions that continue to haunt Georgia, Alexia, myself, and our family and friends. We are living a nightmare as are other families in similar situations. Something must change. Something must be done to ensure that no other family goes through this again. The first step, in our opinion, is harsher sentences for those who drink and drive. What is it going to take for our politicians and lawmakers to actually give the courts the power to impose stiffer and more appropriate sentences? Case law and precedent are simply not enough. If they were, people would stop drinking and driving. If they were, then we wouldn't be standing here today. Enough is enough. We know that many share these beliefs and opinions. Since Andrea's death, people have reached out to Georgia, Alexia, and the whole family from all walks of life and from all corners of the world. They have each been touched personally by this tragedy. Their notes of concern and condolence have echoed our own thoughts about sentencing and are outraged at how light these sentences are. They also believe that not enough is being done. When will it end? How many more people have to die? How many more people will have to bury their loved ones? How many more parents have to bury their children? What will it take to make a change? We challenge our politicians to step up and change our laws so they finally reflect what so many people have told us, that current laws are not doing enough to stop this epidemic. With tragic consequences, people continue to drink and drive. Andrea's death caused Georgia, my late brother-in-law Chris, Alexia, and our larger circle of family and friends total devastation. We believe that people should be held accountable for their actions. Sentencing should reflect this accountability, and harsher punishments must be handed down. Punishments need to reflect the severity of the crime and its consequences. People die because of these actions. Drunk drivers must no longer be allowed to get away with a crime as reprehensible as murder.
So I guess, what was the proper sentence then, as far as you were concerned? You are alluding to something, but I'd like you to say what you think the sentence should be.
Just got to go back to the family right now. Her sister is waiting for us.
Okay, because you did allude to his life. Is that what you wanted to say?
We're not going to answer.
Could you